We're going to show you what STAR Online Learning System is and give you an overview of some of the materials that are presented in SOLS or SOLS or STAR Online Learning System. So we, a couple of months ago, we actually work with several centers in China. And so as they were faced with the COVID crisis in the end of January, beginning of February, our teachers and administrators there reached out and asked for materials to use with their students via an online platform. And so for those of you that have worked with us before, we have two curricular tools called the STAR program and the LINKS curriculum. And both of these are comprehensive curricula that are used with students with autism and any other developmental disabilities. Any students that may have deficits in some of the primary curricular areas like receptive language, expressive language, social communication, play skills, pre-academics, and functional routines. So likely, if you are a special educator or a special education administrator, you know that any of our students fall into many of those categories. And so another area that we look at with all of our students is when there are school closures or extended absences, we know that our students are going to experience regression and have difficulty recouping skills. And so STAR Online Learning System was developed to meet a variety of those needs. The system includes online teaching sessions that are individually designed for students in a variety of levels. So our STAR curriculum and LINKS curriculum are both leveled into levels 1, 2, and 3. And students in level 1 are typically students that are really learning the beginning learning skills. So students that may not yet be using language, they may be considered nonverbal, they may not yet be identifying objects in their environment or following directions. And so we are going to work with those students on very beginning skills, all the way to our students who are in level 3 of the STAR program or advanced students in the LINKS curriculum that might be working on functional routines. So being able to do some things independently, being able to use the academic skills that they have learned in your classrooms in their routines. So we've created, in addition to a variety of tools, we've created 5 sessions that can be conducted in a one-on-one online platform where a staff member who may be a teacher, an educational assistant, or another service provider would provide the instruction to the student. Many of the schools that we are working with have different lengths of time that they are dedicating to online instruction. And so we've provided 5 sessions. However, we do have some activities where teachers can extend the session if they needed to provide a longer amount of time, or they can decrease the amount of time if that was something that your district has decided. We are also, in addition to providing online resources, we also firmly believe that we need to keep providing ongoing consultation and support. So as part of SOLS, we are going to provide, we have several recorded webinars that we're going to include in each week of instruction that are going to help teachers continue to implement in this new type of instructional method. So as we think about SOLS, we know that this curriculum can be used for students of any age level. So we have two different curricular tools. One is called SOLS Primary, which is primarily for preschool and elementary students. And then we have a secondary version, which is for middle school and high school students. So we're not really necessarily looking at the students' abilities, because both of the tools can reach students with a variety of abilities. The goals, when we're looking at doing online instruction with the students that are in our classroom, the goals of SOLS are really to learned in their school environment into the home environment. And so many of the tools that we've created allow teachers to choose different options for different students based on the student's skill level at the moment. Many of the students that we work with may have been doing a lot of different things prior to school being closed. And now that they have had some lapse in instruction, it will be very important for all of us to identify where the student is right now and try to help cover that gap. Some of the instruction that we're going to focus on are going to include things like attending, so being able to attend to this new type of instruction, using reinforcement, requesting social communication, academic skills, and then also there's a home routine component. In both the primary and the secondary version, there are 3 strands. In strand A, the lessons are written so that the teacher is directly guiding a caregiver to work with the child. So in all of the strands, we do rely heavily on caregiver support. And what we found when we implemented this in schools is that it had an added bonus where we were able to actually provide parent training while we were directly working with the student. In addition, many of the students that are in our classrooms require either a smaller ratio or they require additional one-on-one teaching time. And so this is a really nice built-in component where the caregiver is going to be directly implementing for those students in strand A. In strand B, the parent and the teacher are going to both provide the instruction. So sometimes the instruction would be provided directly by the parent or the caregiver, while as other times we may find that the student is able to attend to the teacher in the online instruction and the teacher can take more of the lead. In strand C, these students have they have some skills. They're able to sit for longer periods of time, maybe like 10 or so minutes. They have some abilities to maybe respond either verbally or using an augmentative communication device. They have some academic skills. And so in strand C, the lesson plans were developed where the caregiver is a monitor and the caregiver is still in the room, maybe sitting 5 or so feet behind the child. And the teacher is relying on the caregiver for additional prompting as needed or to redirect the child back to the instructional area. All of the strategies that we use in classrooms that we know work best with our students, we always need to rely on the research. And all of you know that using evidence-based practices is really going to be the best bang for our buck. And so we have included many of the evidence-based teaching strategies that are also included in the STAR program and the LINKS curriculum, as well as many special educators are using these evidence-based teaching strategies in their classrooms. So the ones that are bolded are included in SOLS. We have incorporated ABA teaching strategies into the lesson plans. We have added in some naturalistic teaching strategies like pivotal response training, where we are going to coach the caregiver to use naturalistic teaching strategies to work on language and play skills. There is a component where you or the teacher and the caregiver will be working on independence, and so promoting self-management, helping the caregivers understand how to use prompting in routines, and how to really work with the students on the level that the students are learning on. So as the caregiver is working with you in these individual lessons, they're also hearing the common languages that we might use when we're teaching. They're learning how to simplify instructions and only provide clear and direct language to our students. And so we're able to then generalize that to our functional routines. I'm going to show you a couple of video examples. I have a few examples of the primary component and the secondary component. And while, all right, so here is an example of a student. All right, so a student who is in strand C, and this student is working with one of our trainers. I'm trying to pull it up. I know that y'all can't see it right now. Hold on one second. This student is in strand C, and he is going to be showing you the greeting or circle time. This is the first part of the SOLS instruction.
First, we'll do our calendar, and then I'll give you a star, and you can scare me with the caterpillar, okay? Okay, here we go. I'm going to play the calendar now. Do you see my calendar? Oh, yeah. Okay, so can you tell me what is the month? Can you read the month for me? March. It is March. And do you know what number it is? Can you see the red on the calendar? 22. Good job. Can you count up to 22 for me? Let's count up together. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Keep going. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Hey, high five. Give me a high five. Give yourself a star. That was such good counting. And how many stars do you have? 5. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Awesome. So that was a student who is in strand C in the primary, using the primary curriculum. And I'm going to show you also a student who is in strand B in the secondary component, and she is going to be showing you identifying nouns or routine related vocabulary words. So this student is a secondary student, and she is working in strand B. And this is an example of how in the secondary component, we focus the instruction on one functional routine. And so the activities during the session are based on the student's skill level. The student's going to be receptively identifying when the teacher says point to, and then she's going to expressively label. She's going to say, what is it? And so that's a lot of different skills in there. We're working on receptive language, expressive language. We're building her vocabulary, and we're also relating it to the functional routine that later in the session, this teacher is going to work with the caregiver, and she's going to say, let's play a game. And the caregiver and the student are going to play a game while the teacher provides coaching and support to the caregiver.
Okay, Maria, point to the game. What is it? Game, nice job. All right, Maria, here's another one. Point to the game board. What is it? A game board. Nice job. Can you point to the dice? Point to the dice. What is it? Dice. Nice job. Maria, can you point to the spinner? What is that? Spinner. Spinner.
All right, I'm going to hop onto the system so that you guys can see a demo of all of these materials that you'll have access to. Access the materials, you are going to go to our website, STAR Autism Support, and some of you may be familiar with the Media Center, or you may have access to the LINKS curriculum, which is our secondary curricular tool. All of you are going to be accessing it through this STAR sign-in. You're going to log in with your credentials. And when you log in with your credentials, you will see these boxes here. These are the SOLS boxes. And you will have access to, the first box is all of the curricular tools. The second box is the free home supports. And those are the ones that are available to the public. So anyone, any parent, any teacher, any person that you know that is looking for resources, you can guide them here and they can have access to all of these tools. Inside home supports, there are a variety of routine visual supports for very common home routines. And so here's an example of transition, and all of the tools that a parent or a caregiver may need to support their student in learning how to transition better in the home. There are morning and bedtime self-care, lots of ideas on hand washing and keeping ourselves safe during this time. The other tools that you'll have access to are these home packets, which are additional independent work activities that are to be used with students maybe as homework or some sort of extension activity to the teaching that you may provide online. So we're going to explore the curricular tools. And inside the curricular tools, there is also a home supports extended that will include additional materials as to what is included in the free support. So you guys are going to have access to a variety of additional supports, and these are like hot off the press being loaded today. So they're going to be trickling in as we speak. So when you get access, you can go there and play around on that. The first thing that you'll want to familiarize yourself with is general information. And in general information, you will find more detailed explanations of what SOLS is, so an overview. You will also find an overview that you can provide to the caregivers that you work with. So we have identified that there will be probably different people working with our students at home. Some of them may be their parents, some of them may be an older sibling or an aunt, or maybe another type of caregiver. And so we're going to refer to those people all as caregivers. The caregivers are going to be a huge part of our success with working with our students. And so we've developed a variety of tools for them. The additional tools that you'll want to look over are weekly topics and goals. This is going to provide you an overview of what is included in each week of instruction. So we've broken down the skills into to be addressed each week. Each week, even though a skill is addressed one week, it's always recommended that if there is time the next week for you to practice the skill from the previous week. And there is always different options and steps so that any student that you work with is going to be able to access any of the lesson plans. We have one of these for primary and one for secondary as well. The other tools that you'll find useful as you get started are these pre-session checklists. So we've provided you with a little tool to get you started on this new type of teaching. The first thing that we know that all of us need to start thinking about is, where are we going to do this instruction, whether it be our home office or maybe a little nook in our kitchen that we've now taken over as our home office. So we've given you some tools on how to get started and how to get your caregiver started. We've also provided you with teacher guides and caregiver guides. So these are going to include extensive information on the individual instructional blocks. It's going to tell you what to do if the student makes an error, or it's going to provide the caregiver with more information on what their role is so that they can be successful in the session as well. I'm going to hop back over and I'm going to explore the resources which are available for primary and secondary. This is where you will find the skill profile. So if you are, you want to know exactly what you're going to do right away, you can go to this skill profile, and the skill profile will guide you through how to choose a strand for your student. We've included several data collection templates that you can use, and our data collection for SOLS is going to be based on the student's participation level. So looking at the student's level of engagement, looking at how they are participating and what amount of support they need to participate. We've also included a variety of behavior supports for you to access, as we know that reinforcement and using things like token boards and motivating items are going to really help our students be the most successful. In addition, there are some tools for the routine instructional block of the primary component and the secondary component, and these tools are going to help you when you are training the parent to use these teaching strategies. Many of our districts are using Zoom, although you can use any online platform that you are comfortable with or that your district is using for online instruction. If you're using Zoom, we have added some quick tips so that you can learn some of the features of Zoom and you can explore how to do all of this online teaching. This online thing and technology is different for many people, and so we always recommend that you play around with whatever system you're choosing so that you are comfortable with how to use that when your student hops on. The last area that we're going to look at is the curricular tools. And so there are right now 8 weeks of instruction, and each week provides you with strand A, B, and C, and provides you with tools to teach the students in those individual strands. There's a weekly calendar that's going to give you an overview of what activities are going to be included in the week's instruction. There is a lesson overview that shows you which goals and objectives are added into each instructional block. We were looking at the lesson plan, and there are 2 ways that you can access the lesson plans. This is the combined lesson plan, which shows you the lesson plan for each instructional block. So these combined lesson plans are typically like 8 to 11 pages, and they include the script for every instructional block. All of the scripts are easy to follow, and they provide different options and steps. If you are interested in seeing just one instructional block or one individual lesson plan, then you would click on the individual one, and this is just going to show you the greeting and circle time lesson plan. The same thing would be if you wanted to look at the teaching time lesson plan. You would click here, and this is just going to show you the teaching time lesson plan. A couple of things for you to consider as you are learning about SOLS. Most of the materials that you need for teaching are going to be included. So we've provided you with a PowerPoint that includes all of the teaching materials. We've included a lesson plan, and we've included data collection forms. The parents or the caregiver are going to be guided to gather reinforcers that can be used during the instruction. And so there is a caregiver guide on how to identify these, and there is also a reinforcement inventory that can be used. You do not, many of the things that we think about as teachers, oh my gosh, I have so much to prep, I need to print everything, I need to get all of my teaching materials. All of those things are included for you. So you're not going to need to have a lot of prep time prior to instruction or any additional tools that you're going to need to gather. Lastly, I'll show you the PowerPoint. And the PowerPoints are available for each strand. They're going to differ for the individual strands, and then each week there is also a new PowerPoint. The PowerPoints are going to guide you through the instructional blocks, and they're always going to start with the greeting time. And so there are visuals that go with the greeting time activities. There are songs choices that include video links that you will click on, and it'll bring you to a video. There are books where there are teachers and students reading books. And there are several other thematic activities that are included in the PowerPoints. The PowerPoints also provide information for the caregiver so that when you're working with the caregiver, you can refer to this information. And it also provides the students with visual supports or teaching tools. And on the PowerPoint, it has the cues or what you're going to say or do. So that is a quick overview of the materials included in SOLS.